Hi, this is Lisa Schermerhorn, and I am here with Linda Bamber on my show, Mindset from the Mountaintop. I am a mindset coach, and I have been working with energy medicine, frequency. I'm a certified hypnotherapist, professional speaker, and best-selling author. And I'm excited to talk about this product called the WAVwatch. I have one of these that I've been using for the past several weeks, and I can't wait to tell you all the amazing things that it has done for me personally in such a short period of time. So, and I want to also preface this. I have never put myself out there like this about any other product. I have used many other frequency products, and I've used a lot of other things, but this I've been so impressed with that I really feel the need to let people know about this. So Linda, welcome to the show, and thank you so much for being here. And this is the inventor of the WAVwatch, WAV, and she's going to go on to talk more about it and how it works. And we're going to talk about the mindset part of how this works with emotion. So Linda, go ahead.
All right. Well, like anybody, I have a story, and you kind of asked me to, tell that a little bit.
Yes.
I was born completely deaf in one ear. So it's kind of interesting, I think, that somebody who is deaf and has trouble hearing, put a product together that works with frequencies. And they didn't discover my deafness until I was about third grade. And I thought that was kind of unique. So I must have learned some things on how to figure out how to hear better, how to communicate with people, what to do. So I knew that I would look at people intently, I'd listen carefully, I'd stop. And those are the kind of things that I could put together on my new product when I eventually got it done. Because we are just thinking that we have to hear everything. We don't. We can feel frequencies. Our body will absorb frequencies through our skin. So anybody can use this particular product. So that was, I think, a little bit different for most people to know that I'm deaf, purely deaf, and they'll see after a while. And then the other thing that kind of shaped my life, I was a teacher for a long period of time, but both my mother and sister developed breast cancer at the same time. And so I was told by my medical doctors that I should just have a double mastectomy. And then I wouldn't have to worry about anything. No cancer in sight, but just go ahead and take care of your breast. Could not handle that advice. And I said, I can do something better than that. So I quit teaching school, and I developed almost a business plan. I have 12 other women that have, and men that have bought into that business plan. And it's called BRAS, Breast Research, Awareness, and Support. So for the last 15 years, I've helped teach women how to take care of their breast health a little bit more naturally. I'm still all here, and I think that's important. But what I learned with working with those women is that everything under the sun could be causing some of the problems that is causing their breast cancer, basically. So did you know there are 4 teeth, 2 up and 2 down on each side, that are connected with breast cancer? Most people don't. There's also parasites and viruses and certain bacteria that will cause. The Epstein-Barr virus is notorious for breast cancer. And, the list goes on and on. Our emotions, which we're going to talk about today, can also affect and cause breast cancer and breast problems. So I just started working with frequency tools. And from that idea, I was able to develop the WAVwatch because I wanted something that would take care of many, many problems. And the answer was frequencies, as natural as you can get, acoustical sound frequencies. So that's kind of my background in putting that together. So.
No, thank you. And I've known many sound healers and people who use tuning forks and crystal bowls, and I know the power of what they do. And it's all frequency and vibration. So it is very powerful. There's a book that I use with my clients called Your Body Speaks Your Mind. And it's a whole book all about body mind And so most people don't realize that we can have thoughts that have to, if we don't deal with them, they manifest in your physical body. I just did a video about this where I had something that came up in my own personal life that I didn't deal with the emotions. I just stuffed it down. I had someone who hurt me very badly. And what happened a couple of weeks later? I broke out in hives. I had dermatitis. I was having panic and anxiety attacks. And I didn't put the two together, even though I do this for people.
I know sometimes we get stuck.
And so what happened was I finally put the connection together because I was like, oh, this was so recent. And I used the WAVwatch. And in 2 days, I used the Bach flower remedies along with some other programs on here. And in 2 days, the rash was gone, the dermatitis, and the panic attacks. And I had gone for 3 weeks going from doctor to doctor. I had 2 doctors who had no idea what was going on.
Wow. And see, that's what we want, is a tool that covers a lot of things. So do you want me to go ahead and tell about the WAVwatch a little bit?
Yes, I got ahead of myself because I'm so excited.
So the WAVwatch comes in a box, of course, like this. And then when you open it up, it's going to have its own little carrying case. Oops. Here we go on the screen.
Yeah,
there we go.
You go.
And there it is. So it has its own little carrying case. And then when you open it up, you'll have a watch like this. We'll come here. Then it also has a charging brick, a charging cord. It has 2 wristbands. It has a leather-like wristband, and a lot of males, bigger guys like this one. And sometimes we have women that are pretty small and they tend to like a Velcro wristband, maybe a little bit better. So you have 2 different kinds of wristbands. And then you also have a screen protector included. So you have a full box of ideas plus a 24-page booklet that covers the 1,000 sound frequencies that are included in here. So at this point, I think I have testimonies on about 400 different ideas. The list goes on and on. So I just got a testimony this morning about a spider bite, and somebody really had, a little boy actually had a bite, and the mother did have a WAVwatch and played a program. I think it was on the black widow spider, and it kept swelling. And then she thought, oh, maybe it's the brown recluse. She played the opposite frequency, and it's 90% better this morning. So it is important to kind of try to figure out and, know what could be going on. Sometimes we have to guess or muscle test, but there are ample frequencies to work with everything. And another idea about the frequencies, they are songs, they're acoustical frequencies. And just because she used a different frequency, maybe that didn't work, did not mean that she harmed him, because frequencies are going to go through your system. It just didn't do him any good, and when the right frequency connected, then things balanced out and things change very, very quickly. But it doesn't mean that it would harm you. Like if we take the wrong prescription for something, it's going to harm us, So that's one thing about frequencies. They're like songs, and you can hear one song on the radio and maybe you don't like it, but it doesn't hurt you. Okay. Does that make sense?
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I know you've had many testimonies around physical ailments. I know we're going to talk about the emotions and getting into the whole Bach flower remedy and what homeopathy is. But I want people to know that there's so much more than just the Bach flowers. And I'm excited to talk about this because a lot of people don't know about homeopathy and the Bach flower remedies.
Yes. Yeah. So I don't know. The WAVwatch is, I have teaching programs about the WAVwatch, because what I saw with people is that we so want to just touch a button or take one pill and have somebody else figure out what's wrong with us. I'm sorry, But I think it's time for us to start learning a little bit more about our body and take better care of ourselves, you know. So the wave watches meant that you might already have a diagnosis, you know, and you can use that diagnosis. Maybe you've been diagnosed with lupus, you know, or whatever, and you can look that up on the wave watch and do that. But you also you want to learn about your diagnosis, or say you have multiple sclerosis, MS. Did you know that parasites are connected with it? You know, you're not going to get any support from your medical doctor for parasites, but they are definitely connected with that. Breast cancer, you should be learning that Epstein-Barr virus is connected with it, that E. coli is connected with it, and the list goes on and on. So I would like to help people learn about their bodies a little bit more. And so you can go to Facebook, and I have a private group, WAVwatch Frequency Fanatics, and you can access that, and there's 60 different ideas on a different topic. So if you have a particular health problem, you can kind of peruse through and look for that health topic and see if there's something that you could learn about your body and help for a particular health problem, rather than just, you know, well, you know, you've already kind of mentioned, Lisa, we tend to go from doctor to doctor, you know.
Right.
And here we have a tool where we can do many things on our own, and then, you know, continue to look for medical help. I'm not saying not to, I'm just saying we can do that, because many times it takes us weeks to get into a doctor. So
No,
we have a tool that we can
absolutely.
use.
Absolutely. And the other thing is that Facebook page, so that's a private page, right? So people
Yes.
have to, they get accepted. So you don't have to have the watch per se to
No.
enter. So this
No,
is
not
where
at
you
all.
can do a lot of your research. There's a lot of videos of testimonials and a lot of the, you do a lot of instruction on them. I've watched it, and I watched one that you did about stroke, where you had someone who really has come very far. Do you have a more recent update at all?
I do. She did contact me and let me know that her speech is not as slurred. So should I, that's a real quick test. I mean, it's a,
Yeah.
maybe I should say a little bit longer testimony, but somebody that had been just languishing for over a year after a stroke. She had gone through the medical support and everything they did, and her insurance tended to run out. So for a year, nothing had improved. And then this is how we can be friends. Her neighbor took her a wave watch to use for 2.5 days. And in 2.5 days, all of a sudden she could raise her arm better above her head. And this way she's demonstrating it, you know, and she can walk up and down the stairs better. Her hands are uncurling better. She's more, she says, fluid with her movements. And one of the major things was she didn't have to get up 4 times a night to go to the bathroom. So it was just a grace saving for her. And then the latest update, since she got her own wave watch to use, she's had it for a couple of weeks at this point, and her speech has improved. So all of that from wearing a frequency that just says stroke follow-up.
Amazing. Amazing. So, so I don't know if you wanted to share. I know you put something together for us. Because one of the things, as you're putting that up, I've been working with frequency for several years. I have 2 other devices, I will say. One is something called an AO scanner, and I have something else called a Healy. They're both fabulous. Here's the thing. They're multi-level marketing related. So when you buy one, you have to sell them. Now you're in business. The other part of it is, this is $150 a month for a subscription, plus you have to pay for it. So on top of that, now you're required to take classes. And if you don't, like right now, I didn't take the classes. So what happened was, it's not letting me use most of the programs that I've been using for 2 years now. This is expensive. They do, it's a couple $1,000s. There's several upgrades. You're constantly upgrading. This is amazing because it's also connected. This is connected to your cell phone. So I can't use my cell phone when I'm running some of the programs. And some of the programs are an hour long. This one, has its own separate one, but you're still connected to Wi-Fi. And and both of them EMFs. And one of the things, and we're going to touch on that later, is the fact that this is sound. You charge it up and it's sound. There's no EMFs involved. So now that you're set up, I'll let you continue.
Oh, I just really appreciate that because, I don't know the differences in some of the products and you've worked with them. But my whole goal and mission, if, people say, well, what's your mission? My mission was to actually, provide some kind of a wearable tool that was cost effective, it was drug free, Wi-Fi free, and was easy to use. And so that was my whole objective. So hopefully that's what I got done. So I just wanted to share some ideas about Bach remedies because Lisa is a fan of Bach remedies and I am too because they're frequencies. It's so amazing. They are literally homeopathic frequencies. And so I guess I have a screen up on the WAVwatch. It's the world's first sound therapy watch with 1,000 different frequency settings. And here is the WAVwatch Frequency Fanatics. That's on Facebook if you're interested in that. And then these are the other things about the WAVwatch that I hopefully have succeeded in. There's no cords or messy wires or patches, there's no monthly fee. It's cost-effective self-care and the internet. You've already mentioned that, Lisa. And to me, that is so important. I've had women come into my office who have worn their cell phone in their bra. And one lady had 3 kinds of breast cancer underneath her cell phone. Another lady had actually worn her cell phone in her pocket because of work. And she, within just a 4 to 6 month period of time, she had a huge ovarian cyst. And another lady that I think is my worst example that scares me the most, an older lady, was a little bit crippled and she had a Lifeline alert. And within 6 months, she had breast cancer under her alert system. Can you think of that? What our senior citizens might be wearing? That's the Wi-Fi, So we have to be really careful with our Wi-Fi if you aren't already. Okay. So, of course, I have a disclaimer. Nothing is a diagnosis. And we don't want to do that. I want to teach you so that you learn a little bit more about your own body. These are not considered, these are considered experimental. Our voices are still acoustical, but they're still experimental. It's not approved as a medical device. And testimonies are just definitely volunteer. Just one little idea. I just love how it's musical in nature. Our vibrations have been so lowered that, there's no matter. All matter beings, we vibrate. Everything vibrates. Everything has its own melody, And a lady that works with me says it's like an orchestra. Everybody has their own sound. They're a different chair in the orchestra, or a different instrument in an orchestra. So we're finally realizing that everything is vibrational from atoms to galaxies. So why not our body? And everything has been measured. These things have been measured for over 100 years. So they know that the liver vibrates at a different rate than the kidney. Everything has been measured. But I don't know how much to say here. I'll probably go over an hour if I keep talking. But they do know that frequencies can be very helpful, but over 100 years ago, they were not considered helpful and they were banned. So many of the tools have been, we haven't been able to use them until just recently. And, things are coming out now that are using frequencies of all kinds. But for a while, frequencies were banned, negative, couldn't use them at all. So lots more to tell you on that, but not today. So I actually have the watch that has 1,000 frequencies. The first 1,000 orders can get $40 off, and it is marked off automatically for you at the click when you go to WAVwatch.com. And I'm not for sure if I actually said WAVwatch.com. It's WAV. WAVwatch.com. So that's $40 off. And then if you use this code Mindset100, it will be marked down to $457 for you. So you get $140 off for listening to Lisa and I today.
Well,
So we'll make it worth your while.
Yeah, I'm so grateful for this because it allows people this to get out to more people, because I'm telling you, $150 a month, okay, for very similar outcome. Now this will scan your body and tell you what your body needs. This is a little more guesswork, but I'm telling you, for the difference in price, I just didn't see it. So I just canceled my subscription, my $150 a month once I got this. And also this, it's thousands of dollars. Is it a good product? Yes, it is. But the value you're getting, and no subscription, and there's no multi-level marketing. You're not suddenly feeling compelled that you have to go into business if you buy this and put this on. You can just wear it and enjoy it. And that's one of the things that I love about this.
And, I think it's just a good way to introduce people to frequencies at an affordable price, know. And nowadays there's lots of talk about med beds, and they are supposedly going to be frequencies. We hear, we see, we speculate. But what are they going to cost? Are they going to be free or, so some people have said, hey, I already have a med bed on my wrist. That's what people laugh, and say. Exactly. And once in a while somebody will say, oh, it's like a medicine cabinet. I don't have to worry about that. I don't have to carry anything anymore. I can just carry this. So lots of ways to think about it. So I think I finally stopped talking about the WAVwatch. Thank you for your patience there. But we wanted to talk about Bach remedies, because those are frequencies for emotions. And I just love Dr. Edward Bach. He developed these products in the 1920s and 30s, and he was a physician, and he just started studying and talking about, okay, so you've got it up there. Yeah. Bach remedies. Yeah. So I've got 30 or 40 of these bottles, Me
too.
And what they are is a plant. I think I have it here. Dr. Bach was able to feel, some people are very intuitive or energetic, whatever word that you want to say, guided by God. And he could hold his hands over different plants and tell what emotion the plant might heal. And I think this is so interesting, because the biggest statement that he had was that God gave us all of these healing plants. He gave us these things. And I know he gave us something for our emotions. And so up until the time of Bach, nobody had really used plants for emotions. They used them for physical ailments and pain. So his take on using plants was very intuitive, and he developed many, many connections. So he worked with different plants that could help in many different ways. So it involved 4 elements. And like you said, you've made them before. So he used the sun, he used water, he used the earth to nurture the plant, and the air. So it was entirely natural. And by the time he got done, you could make your own remedy if you wanted to use the flowers that he was teaching you about and select them. So there's a whole remedy. And I think, Lisa, can you talk to this idea? You've done
Yes. I actually had a retreat at my home, and I invited these women who were herbalists, and they had this book, and we were making all kinds of remedies that were from plants. And we even picked some echinacea that was in my garden and made some beautiful things. And they said, if you want to, you can go outside, find a plant, and make an essence. So what you're actually taking is the frequency of the plant. You don't touch it. And for a lot of people, that's hard to get your mind around, because it's like, how is this going to work? Where this, what's in it? And so it's the essence of the plant, and you set the intention, you put it next to whatever the plant is, and you meditate with it. At least that's what I did. And I asked the plant permission and asked if it would be willing to transfer some of its abilities into this glass bowl. And I made my own. and you can do that with dandelion. That's one of the most powerful plants that we have on this earth. And
we
we're
try to kill it.
And we
Yeah.
try and kill it. It's
All the time.
amazing. Yeah. So this is really amazing. And here you have it in frequency where it can get through your entire system much faster than using these, the bottles, and you're going to save a lot of money too.
And, people aren't inclined to do something like this anymore. Not very
Right.
many people are going to, go out and gather a particular plant and learn how to do it and have the patience to wait. So that's all this is. He was able to discern that this plant would help with a certain emotional problem. And then these frequencies have now been measured and recorded. And so we were able to put them on the WAVwatch for you. So these, this is what Bach did. He used all of these plants. Now, I have an amazing daughter-in-law that gathers all these plants and grows a lot of them. And she does some things like this and makes her own teas and herbal blends and things. But that's a very rare grouping of people. And you know what? We're all sick. Everybody needs something. We just can't be relying on a few people that are doing that. So, and they're one of the most natural things that you could use. So, these are some of the stock that you might have purchased, and people could have these on hand to use. But again, it's not a very big following that has done that. So, many people do not know about Bach flower remedies and how they are for emotions, mental problems, personality problems, and psychological problems. So that covers the gamut. But guess what? Now we have that on the watch. So I don't know if there's anything else you want to add
One of the
those
things that they talk about is how I found out about it is there's something called rescue remedy, which is if you've experienced some kind of emotional trauma, an accident, anything like that, they advise you to keep it on you and, put it on your tongue. It settles you down. Now, these are great for children. You can also use it for your pets, because I know that that they actually make a rescue remedy and some of these for your pet. Now, I know that you have the programs on this that can be used for animals as well, correct?
Yes. Well, people use anything that they use in a person has been pretty much experimented with animals and Vince had some very great testimonies, especially on emotions. Our animals today are getting very anxious and having lots of problems just like we are, So yeah, so these are great. You just have to have them available for you at the right time. And so in our busy day today, people are really enjoying that you can carry something with you, in your purse, and you can have it in many different places. Carry it with you. So I have a combination of 7 different natural plant remedies. So these are the Bach emotional combos. And so these are the main qualities or concerns that the watch would take care of, would work with. And all you have to do is find this setting on the watch and then turn it on and it starts to play. It's a little hard for me to show you. I maybe I can, try doing it in a minute, but we'll talk about these. But these are the emotions. And then inside each one of these frequencies, there would be 7 different frequencies from 7 different plants. So that's what it's covering for you. Instead of taking 7 different bottles, you have 1 frequency for each of those ideas.
And so I will tell you, I was in bed and I was having trouble sleeping. I was feeling really anxious. I put my watch on and I set it to, I can't remember, it was like a relax, like something to help me relax. And boom, in 10 minutes, I was asleep. This works fast.
And, I think before the show, Lisa, we talked about that a little bit, and it's so interesting. But Bruce Lipton, who's a physicist, basically has said that they can measure a chemical frequency, or they can measure a wave and vibrational type frequency. And they know that something from a chemical and quote unquote, from different supplements and things is going to move through your body at a foot a second. That's what we're talking about. It moves through at a foot a second. And it sounds quick, but it's slow. It's really slow. And it's so slow that your body heat burns up that chemical wave. And so basically only 2% of that wave is absorbed into your body. And that kind of tells you, it's like, wow, until I learned that, which was just a couple of years ago, until I learned that, I didn't really know. It's like, well, why do you have to take a prescription for 6 months before it does anything, or for 2 months, or whatever the number is, or sometimes even a supplement. And I love supplements. I'm not saying you shouldn't take them. You should still take them. But that is the reason on our prescriptions that they are not doing very good. They're 2% absorbed. On the other hand, a frequency from a wave vibration, a true vibration, zips through your body at 4.3 times the speed of sound. So if we have something set on the watch, there's a little speaker underneath right here. And when you play that frequency, it makes a little tiny buzzing sound, kind of like a bee buzz. And you turn it low. Your body doesn't have to hear it. You just want your body to feel it. And so one cell will start to vibrate, and then the one next to it vibrates, and the next one, and zip, 4.3 times the speed of sound. So guess what? Frequencies are 100% absorbed. Isn't that interesting? And maybe that's what they didn't want us to know about that 100 years ago. We could have been 100 years ahead in our healing if we'd had the use for frequencies. So we also have 38 Bach remedies. I've got them in 2 different columns. And these are all ideas that you can use to work with your emotions. And you don't have to pick one out. You can play all of them. So there's 4 different ways to set the watch. So if you did want to pick one out, you could set the watch so that it would loop and play that all night long. Just one idea. If you wanted to play through all 38 of them, there's another way to set that. And then if you wanted to play through 38 of them and make them loop all night long, you could set it that way. So you can do it how you want to. You are your own person. Does it mean that it's wrong if you play it different from somebody else? No, not at all. So most of these frequencies are 8 minutes long, and that's what they've determined is kind of the best time length. It doesn't take very long to do that. So they will move through and play a different frequency every 8 minutes. So if you're having a lot of emotional upsets, or somebody is, or seriously, everybody needs this. I played this several times. Our lives are strange, aren't they, today? We've had so many toxic problems, and just listening to anybody today, can get us upset on different things, and the differences that our families have faced. So it's a great idea. Play all of these. You have something. And, to go backwards, we have to be so careful when we are relying on medical prescriptions for our emotions. There is so many side effects. The side effects on this are nothing. They are a frequency that zips through your body. So these are the other choices.
And I want to say that, for depending upon what the issue is, for instance, sometimes I'll feel it pretty instantly where one 8-minute go around will work. Other times, for instance, I was working out and I was doing some push-ups, which I do often, and all of a sudden I just felt it in my shoulder, and suddenly I couldn't raise my arm, and I was like, welcome to 60. And I was so bummed, because I was like, how long? Usually those kinds of injuries take a long time to heal. And I put my watch on and I let it go overnight, and I just kept it, and I made my own little playlist. So I did inflammation, I did shoulder, I did neck, I put a bunch of things together and ran it overnight. And then the next morning I realized I can raise it now halfway. So I decided to do it the second night, run it again, and then the next day I had no discomfort at all. So some things may take a little bit longer to heal than others. So I just want to say that it's not always just an 8-minute play. Right. Some things can be, but you want to use your own intuition. You want to use your own gut instincts to figure out some things could work right away, and some things, this could be something that you use over time. And you've got things in here about workaholic. That's addiction. These are things that have become part of us. Oh, so these are things that maybe over time that you want to work with. Oh, there it comes up again. I better run my watch.
And, people are just not realizing how these emotions can change our body. So there is an emotion. I'm not sure if I've got it on the next screen. It's not a Bach emotion, but just to share it with you. And it's called, connections to emotions and disease connections and ties to diseases. I mean, that's actually a bona fide idea and a frequency. They were able to measure
Amazing.
our emotions that are so upsetting that they cause diseases.
You're going to put me out
So,
of business.
you know, so
The most people don't understand how much our emotions affect our physical body, and that we can, and also when we have an injury, when we have something happen, we now create this nerve, pathway that goes from the brain down. Now, of course, when something first happens, you're going to have some pain and discomfort. But over time, if it doesn't heal properly, it becomes chronic. It goes from acute to chronic. And that's when we have these neural pathways that get stuck. So these are a great way to help shift and change the neural pathways. Now, Dr. Joe Dispenza talks a lot about these mindsets and things, and he was able to actually use his mind to heal himself from a traumatic injury that almost left him paralyzed. I think he was in a bicycle accident. So this is the power of the mind to heal.
And it's so important that's why I've been trying to kind of say I really like teaching people how to use their own minds to be better stewards of their own body, because the more we get taken away from us, do you see what I'm trying to say? They've taken that away from us. We should be intuitive about our bodies and be helped with it, and we should be way beyond what we are with our healing. And that will continue. That downslide will continue as long as we say, oh, I just want to take a pill, oh, I just want to press a button. We have to learn about our bodies. And yeah, we are pressing a button here, but we've got 1,000 choices, so we are still learning. So one of the favorite frequencies on the WAVwatch is the very first one that I have on, and it's called inflammation, pain, and trauma. And that just describes exactly what you said, Lisa, that we get traumatized. We have some kind of an accident. There's lots of inflammation, got that pain, and then it traumatizes us. So I have found that one has worked almost better than a lot of things for injuries. And that's easy. If you don't know what to play, start with that one. So it says it right in the book and tells you that. So, but that goes hand in hand with trauma. That's another emotional frequency that we've got to cover. And we don't realize it. We don't realize when we're in pain that we've traumatized ourselves. So now see if I've got what else I have. She was talking about the rescue remedy earlier, so this is what it has in there. And you could make your own rescue remedy, if you have rock rose. I don't know what that plant is. Do you have that one? I don't know what rock rose is.
I don't have it with me, but rock rose, each one of these on the bottle will tell you what it means. But the problem is the writing is so tiny. I can't read it right now.
Yes. Yep. I have trouble too. But some of these plants, you can kind of figure out what emotion that they would help with, which is so amazing. So impatience, guess what they help with? Impatience and impatient people. That's what it is.
Isn't that amazing?
Yeah. And like an oak tree, what do you think of when you think of an oak tree? It's strong, it bends. And that's exactly the emotion that it's helped with, So some of these are very, very interesting, but I don't know rock rose, I don't know what that is. So, but these are amazing that, again, the whole premise of the Bach remedies from Dr. Edward Bach is that he could feel intuitively, and he shared that with with the world. That was his gift to the world. And now we've taken it beyond, we've taken his gift and gifted it to you on the WAVwatch, Oh, I love this. His vision of a hospital of the future. He saw it as a sanctuary of peace and hope and joy. Wouldn't that be amazing?
Right. Because it's an inside job. It really is. And I'm not saying that there's no need, again, I'm not a licensed mental health or a medical professional. So I'm not making claims here that, we go away from the medical system completely. There's a lot of things that we need. And so
Definitely.
so we're not saying this. This is something to use in addition to, right? This is a
Yes.
complement to help people. And as an end result, if it gets you off of pharmaceuticals for any reason, any medications, that's a wonderful thing, right? Because there's side effects with everything that we take.
Definitely. So, we use a variety of things in many different ideas. We always check with our doctors. We use, we have other things tested. We take our supplements, and now people have been adding frequency tools. So you had three frequency tools. Is that what it was? So we do have those, and we should be continuing to do that, learning and expanding our knowledge of ourselves. So I don't know that you want to share this or whatever, but these are some of the plants that he used and some of the actual ideas behind them. Do you want to read those, Lisa, or how do we want
Yeah,
to?
sure. Because you've got agrimony. I mean, if you think about this, oftentimes I hear people talk about, I have friends who are naturopaths and herbalists, and they talk about that, we have so many things in nature that heal us. So we've got agrimony, and a lot of times the plant will look like the part of the brain. Like if you look at a walnut, it looks like the brain. So when you look out in nature, these are all things. And my grandfather was an old-time pharmacist. He was actually making a lot of these things. Why do they go into the South American, into the jungles to get things? And then the pharmaceutical companies will take the qualities of that and then manufacture it. So here we have aspen, fear of unknown things; beech, intolerance; sanctuary, the inability to say no. This is something that so many people have because they're afraid to hurt people's feelings. Serato, I've never used that one. I'm not even familiar with that one. Lack of trust in one's own decisions. This is for people who give their power away oftentimes because they feel they need to give away to a higher power or someone who has more authority than them. Cherry plum, I've had that one. Fear of the mind giving way. I've used aspen. I think I have that one. Chestnut bud, failure to learn from your mistakes. Being on the hamster wheel, doing the same thing over and over again, expecting a different result. Chicory, selfish, possessive love. Clematis, dreaming of the future without working on the present. Crabapple, cleansing remedy, also for not liking something about ourselves. Elm is overwhelmed by responsibility. Gentian, I'm thinking is that how you pronounce it?
Yes, I think so.
Discouragement after setback. So you can see how these are all balancing frequencies, getting you into the right self-esteem and loving yourself. What's wrong with that?
Yeah, and they didn't just, and Dr. Bob just didn't, figure this out with one person. It was used for many people to get that knowledge, and seriously, sometimes there is not very much behind the scenes work done on some of our drugs that are released. I saw one drug that there were 6 test clients or test patients on it before it was released, and we want something that's natural to start with and that has been tested a lot of years, and that's what this was. And then you can even think further back about ancient cultures that used herbs and medicinal plants and things. So they knew for thousands of years which herbs were good for physical. Evidently somebody missed it and they hadn't worked on emotions until Dr. Bach came along. But these are some more.
So we had gentian, gorse, hopeless and despair. I've used that one before. Heather, talkative, self-concerned, being self-centered. Holly, hatred, envy, and jealousy. Honeysuckle, living in the past. Hornbeam, I've used that one too. Tiredness at the thought of doing something. How many of us have a dread? Impatience, isn't that interesting? Impatience. Larch, I've used that one. Lack of confidence. Mimulus, fear of known things. Mustard, deep gloom for no reason. Oak, the plotter who keeps on going past the point of exhaustion. These are the people who just work those 12, 14-hour days. Olive, exhaustion following mental or physical effort. I've used that one. Pine, that's interesting. That one's around guilt. Red chestnut, over concern for the welfare of loved ones. Rock rose, this is a foundational one. That's in the rescue remedy. Terror and fright. Rock water, self-denial, rigidity, and self-repression. Scleranthus, inability to choose between alternatives. Star of Bethlehem, that's shock. So you can see how Rock Rose and Star of Bethlehem would be used in the rescue remedy. Now, if you have all of the ones, you can put them all in, but it's nice to have them all in one place. And these can be used for your pets. I've used this on my dogs.
And they last for a long time. I think the original set I had said 10 years that you could,
Yes.
that they last for a long time. I didn't use as much of them as I should, because sometimes you just need a couple drops,
Yes.
and I had a set of 38, but they lasted for an amazing length of time. And those are just frequencies. And the reasons they might have lasted longer years ago, but we have EMFs. We've already talked about that, so if you're storing your sets of these bottles close to anything that has an EMF frequency, you could be destroying them sooner. But if you take good care of them, they're going to last the 10 years or so. So here's the other.
Oh, here's one thing that I didn't address, and I'm not sure if it's Bach flower or not. I have to check. A lot of these things are preserved in alcohol. And I think, yes, Bach flowers are preserved in alcohol. For someone who may have some addiction issues, who doesn't want to put alcohol under their tongue because they have, addiction issues, this is also a great alternative.
Works very well. Yep.
So
I think we're getting down to the last idea.
Yes, sweet. I didn't realize you changed the sweet chestnut, extreme mental anguish. So when everything has been tried and there's no light left. Wow, I think everyone should have that one. Vervain, over enthusiasm. Vine, dominance and inflexibility. Walnut, protection from change and unwanted influences. That's the one I have right here. Water violet, self-reliance, leading to isolation, and white chestnut, unwanted thoughts and mental arguments. How many times do we have these thoughts that come in, and we have this mental masturbation, this thing going on?
Yeah.
One time I want to do one thing, and another time I want to do something else.
And the idea that they could be so specific is what really amazes me. The depth of knowledge that they learned about a person's emotions to be able to put these frequencies together and to do the plan. I'm just kind of seeing vine, inflexible,
Yeah.
So, I mean, you think about a vine, it's going to pop, and when it's first growing, it's flexible. But after that, if you're trying to train that vine in a different way, it pops and doesn't go. So just some of the names are amazing, and the depth of knowledge that they learned. So I love Bach flower remedies and all of the different combinations of them. Oh, I still have 3 left.
Yeah. Wild oat, uncertainty over one's direction in life. Wild rose, drifting, resignation, apathy, and willow, self-pity and resentment.
Wow.
So, yeah.
So anyway, there's so many things that can be done with frequencies, and I can't even remember what this is. I think it's probably the end of it. But just wanted to let you know that these frequencies are all on the WAVwatch, so that you have a huge selection of things that you can do. So there's 38 frequencies for the Bach remedies, but in total, there's 85 different frequencies that you can play specifically for emotions. So I also have ADHD. I have ADD, I have anxiety by itself, and that kind of thing. I'm not sure where we are time-wise, but this is an amazing video. Have you seen this one before? We were talking about churches.
Time. No, we talked about churches, how a lot of the bells were taken down, right?
Yes.
And they were melted. The metal was melted for the war to use for ammunition. And what's really interesting is to find out that those church bells actually had healing qualities. How many of us grew up with the church bells ringing on Sundays that you don't really hear anymore?
Now, this is a great video, but there is a little cussing in it. I'll warn you. I wasn't thrilled with that, but the content was good. Okay, man, that makes me
Here's a
nervous
secret
there.
that's been kept by cathedrals for a long time. This right here is your DNA. This at the top is your DNA from a top-down view. These geometric shapes that you see is what we call sacred geometry. Sacred geometry is an ancient study that explains energy patterns, like this turtle right here. If you look to the right, what you see here is a sand plate that's connected to some type of instrument that can send out frequency. Now let's just say the instrument is a piano, and when I hit one of the notes on the piano, it shifts the sand into these specific geometric shapes. This is called cymatics, the study of visible sound. You can also do this with liquids. Now here's a picture of cymatics in water, top-down view of DNA, and church windows. Notice they are almost identical. Now, how many times have you drove past a church window like this and wondered how the fuck did they come up with that design? They didn't. It's in your DNA. Now, here's something very interesting. Everything has a resonant frequency, which basically means everything has its own frequency. Now, a lady did an experiment where she set up a mic in the church like this and recorded the silence. She then set up speakers to play that silence so that it would go back into the mic and keep creating a louder and louder and louder sound, to the point to where it was strong enough to show up cymatically. Now, when she played that sound through water, it created these shapes cymatically. And to her surprise, the same shape the sound of the church was making was what the shapes of the windows inside the church looked like. There's only one group of people I know who can build at that level. But anyway, now remember, buildings have their own resonant frequency, which means that when you're in the building, your body is being interacted with those frequencies. So if your body is made of 60 to 80% water, and this is what water looks like when it's vibrating, that means whatever shape is made by the sound of the church is the shape that your DNA is taking form of. I believe these cathedrals are designed to create healing frequencies to make you feel good when you're inside of the church. This could be part of the reason why people feel good when they enter a church, not realizing the church is emitting its own healing frequency in alignment with the instruments that are being played by uplifting music scales.
Amazing.
Isn't that great?
I love that.
Yes.
I'm glad we went through all that so that people could see it.
So I don't know a better note to end on, because that's exactly what the WAVwatch has done. You know, we don't have these churches in our backyards anymore. We don't have these magnificent structures that are emitting a specific sound that might be healing for us. So we're learning to use other things, and the WAVwatch might be one thing that just has the exact resonance that you need and the exact note to change your body.
Wow, this is amazing. Now, did you have any slides that had information, or did we already covered that? Was there anything left on here about?
Oh, my slides could go on and on and on. I think I could go back and show you. It's going to take me a while, but we do have your code if anybody's interested.
That's right.
So
yes, it's WAVwatch.com. and then mindset 100, and it'll get you $100 off. This is a special deal. This is just if you want to buy through me. Linda was kind to do this for my listeners, and I'm so grateful. And I would love to hear testimonies from people as they when they buy these. And I will tell you, I was blown away in such a short period of time. And again, the value of $500, less than $500 right now. You can have this healing frequency that you walk around with no EMFs, and you don't have to try and sell it to anyone. There's no obligation. It's amazing what you've offered people. So if anyone has any questions about this, is there way, what's the best way to reach you?
It is WAVwatch.com, and we have had some trouble while we were off screen, and the slides disappeared, and the slide has disappeared that has the numbers on it. So it is
Okay.
WAVwatch, WAVwatch.com, WAVwatch.com. And you can place that order. And right now there's an automatic $40 discount that's already given to you. And then if you'll use Mindset 100, you'll get another $100 off. So $140 off altogether. But don't wait, because I only have 1,000 of these at that price.
Wow. And they are going fast, because I know
Yes, they are.
I have 4 friends who have them and they're sharing them with their friends. And I will tell you what's interesting is, you really have to experience it to really, see the shift and the difference. I was blown away at how fast some of the issues that I had work. So again, we talked about the Bach flower remedies, and we talk about the body mind. But again, this covers 1,000 issues. And again, thank you so much, Linda. I really appreciate you having this, talking about this and having you on. And I'm really excited to hear about all the different testimonials as people buy their watches and share their experiences. And again, go on to Frequency Fanatics. You'll find out more about amazing testimonials from people who have struggled with a lot of issues. So again, thank you, Linda. And anything else before we finish up?
It was a really fun interview with you. We've been laughing and just going back and forth, and we could have talked for hours. So thank you for having me on, Lisa.
Thank you. If you enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe. And if you know someone who would find this information beneficial, kindly share it with them. And if you want to go deeper into these topics for your own personal journey, feel free to reach out. I'd love to talk to you.